Hello, 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 everybody. We are live. I'm going to let everyone start to make their way into the room. As you guys are dropping in, I would love to hear where everybody is coming from tonight. Well, it's tonight here. It might not be tonight where you're at, but I'd love to hear where you guys are at. Where is everybody from? Detroit. All right. Awesome. Michigan in the house. Where else do we got? Looks like we still got some people making their way in. As you guys are coming in, we're just dropping in the chat where you guys are located. Where are you guys coming in from this evening? So we know where everybody is. Houston, Texas. Love it. That's where I'm at. Amazing. Glad you're able to join us. California. My husband's from California. Y'all tend to have some really nice weather out there. Costa Rica. Oh, wow. Amazing, amazing. All right, we got a couple more people filtering in. We're going to get started in just a couple more minutes. As you guys are coming in, we're just all dropping in the chat where we're from, where you guys are coming from, streaming in from this evening. Happy you guys are all able to make it. I'm really excited that I was able to do this encore. We had so much fun yesterday, and so many people learned so much, so I'm really excited to do it one more time. I don't know when it'll happen again, but I was able to make the time this evening. So I am really glad that you guys are able to come in and attend. Pakistan. Awesome. All right. Yeah, you guys are coming from all over tonight. We're very international. So I love that. All right, y'all, we got 2 more minutes. And then we're going to get this party started. Where is everybody else from? Go ahead and drop that in the chat. Come on, guys. This is an interactive presentation. I know there's more of you in here who are not dropping in where you're from in the chat. So we would just love to know where we need to guide our education or knowledge today, because obviously everywhere is a little bit different too. And when it comes to the gut and the types of foods that you're putting into it, that also plays a role. So I'm going to go ahead and just start getting our presentation going here too. And we got 1 more minute to allow everybody to make their way in, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, don't forget to drop where you're from in the chat. Okay, we got Florida. I'm from Florida originally. What part? North, south, central. I did my residency in Orlando too. So I've been up north in the Panhandle, in central Florida, all over. Now I'm in Texas. I guess I should tell you guys where I'm at too. All right. Yes, the beach. We love it. We love it. White sandy beaches is where I got the blessing and the capability to grow up next to. All right. Okay. Well, we're going to Minnesota. Wow. I went up there to interview at the Mayo Clinic for residency. It was in the middle of a polar vortex, and I was like, I cannot. I can't live here, so more power to you. Our new 3 seasons, smoke, humidity, and snow. I love that. South Florida. Okay, so Shan's got much better weather, unfortunately, unless you just don't like being warm. All right, awesome. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get going. I am going to make sure that everything is running perfectly. California, another Californian in the house. Amazing. All right. So welcome everyone to the Gut Revival Masterclass. We're going to go ahead and get this party started. So I'm so excited to have you here. Really excited to do an encore of this presentation from yesterday. As I was saying previously, So many people got so much knowledge from yesterday. And we had so many people reach out saying that they just really wish they could have made it and just couldn't make it because of the time frame. So we decided to throw another one on the calendar really quick. So I'm glad you guys were able to show up and turn up last minute. If you don't know who I am Dr. Stephanie Dunlop. I am a board certified emergency medicine physician and a functional health specialist. My passion is really all about helping women uncover the hidden links between things like your gut, your hormones, and those really persistent symptoms that just leave you feeling not quite like yourself. So today we're really going to just dive deep into understanding why you might be struggling, even when you feel like you're doing everything quote unquote right. And we'll uncover a lot of the hidden connections and give you a pretty clear path forward here. So get ready to take some notes, but most importantly, get ready to gain some clarity and some empowerment overall about your health. All right. So this masterclass is going to be all about just providing you with a sustainable path to really rebalancing your hormones, healing your gut, and achieving that really healthy, lasting fat loss. And so notice I said sustainably. We're not really talking about quick fixes or extreme measures here. That's not what we do. We will explore how to do this without the frustration of things like starvation diets, endless cardio, or that kind of constant guesswork that really leaves you feeling defeated. And my promise to you is that in the next 60 minutes, you'll leave this masterclass with a really simple, actionable next step that's really tailored to you. So not a generic plan, but something that you can really, truly implement. So let's talk about who this is really for today. So this masterclass is really designed for women who resonate with these points. So high achieving women, a lot of times we work with a lot of moms aged around 30 to 50 who are really just juggling so much. You know, we're doing all the quote unquote right things, eating healthy, exercising, trying to manage our stress, yet we just still feel stuck. You're probably exhausted, you're feeling overwhelmed, and you kind of feel like your body's working against you at this point. A lot of times the women that we work with have been to doctors. They've been told that their labs are normal, even though your symptoms persist and you just know that something isn't right and you're tired of feeling that way. And you're not really looking for another one size fits all protocol. Really, at this point, you crave personalization, something that's really made for you and that understands your unique body and also your lifestyle, because that's important. And most importantly, you're ready to take action and really receive some expert support and some answers and the solutions that you truly deserve at this point. Just as important as knowing who this is for, it's really important to know who this is not for today. So this just makes sure that we're all aligned and on the same page so we can get the most value from our time together. So if you are looking for a quick fix or magic pill solution, unfortunately, I don't have that here. This is not it. Sustainable health really does take commitment and understanding. And also, if you prefer things like generic plans over personalized guidance, or if you're not ready to just make those small, consistent changes, then this masterclass might not be the best fit for you right now, and that's totally okay. And finally, if you're uncomfortable with an invitation to work together at the end of this free content today, you know, I want to be transparent up front. My goal is to provide you with immense value today. And for those who do want to go deeper, I will share how you can just get a little more support. So make sure you stay to the end and for the chance for a live giveaway. This is going to be the fun part. So to get the absolute most out of our time together, we have an exciting opportunity for those people who do stay all the way till the very end. So one lucky attendee is going to receive 16 weeks of one-on-one coaching in our personalized functional fat loss RX program. So this is our signature program that's really designed to help you rebalance your hormones, heal your gut, and achieve sustainable fat loss. And I will be providing you with guidance all along the way. So to qualify for this giveaway, all you really need to do is simply stay until the end of the masterclass today and be present to win. We will announce the winner live today. We did do this once yesterday, and I decided to bring it back again. So if you're excited and you're interested in winning some free coaching, please drop a 1 in the chat, because I want to know who's really wanting to win this today and who's committed. Let me see it. Who's got it? And you guys can be dropping questions in the chat as we go as well. There is a Q&A portion. I don't see any ones in the chat, so maybe I don't need to give anything away today. You guys aren't really giving me much. All right. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. There it goes. Okay, we got some people hopping in. Okay. I was like, no one wants to win anything free today? All right, there we go. Now we're coming in. All right. So to qualify, all you're going to have to do is book your strategy call during the masterclass as well. And so we'll show you how to do that at the end. And for everyone else, just for staying to the end, I am going to drop these bonuses in the chat for you guys. My hormone clarity worksheet, as well as my bloat busting recipe guide and my gut healing grocery list for you guys. So these are just designed to give you some immediate actionable steps. And remember, there is a deadline to get these bonuses. We will keep things going for a little bit after the end of the class, but only for about 30 minutes or so before we shut everything down. So how do we get the most out of today? Here's a few quick tips. So you can use the chat like we've been talking about. I'll be asking some quick questions throughout, and I'd love to hear your answers. And your engagement really just does make this more valuable for everyone. And notes are totally fine. You should have your workbook. Hopefully you picked that up already. There is an interactive workbook that you can utilize as we go through this to take notes and keep track of everything we're going to be going through. And don't think that you have to write everything down, though. I'm going to give you the key steps. You can hold your questions for Q&A, or you can drop them in the Q&A chat here. But if you must step away, just make sure to keep the tab open because we don't want you to miss the live giveaway. And most importantly, just enjoy the next hour. This is really, truly for you. And this is your time to really just gain some clarity and feel empowered about your health. So let's dive in. Let's talk about some really eye-opening statistics that really underscore why I feel like this masterclass is so crucial, especially for women. So did you know that up to 80% of women actually experience hormonal imbalances? And here's the kicker. A lot of this is due to gut dysbiosis, which is an imbalance in your gut bacteria. And this really plays a significant yet very often overlooked role in these imbalances. So it's not just about really feeling quote unquote off. It is a definite widespread issue. Women are also 2 to 3 times more likely than men to suffer from IBS. And this isn't just bad luck. It is often due to our unique hormonal fluctuations that we have, and we have increased gut sensitivity as well. So your body is just constantly communicating. Also, 26% of women report feeling bloating at least a few times weekly compared to only 11% of men. This is a significant difference because bloating is not just uncomfortable. It is a clear signal from your gut that something does need attention. And finally, polycystic ovarian syndrome, it does affect 1 in 10 women of reproductive age. That's a pretty darn high amount. And it's often missed that PCOS is undiagnosed and it is deeply rooted in complex gut hormone interactions and issues. They're very interconnected. And so these statistics aren't meant to scare you necessarily, but they're just meant to validate your experience. So if you've been feeling these symptoms, you're not alone and it's not all in your head, okay? Your body is sending you important signals here, so we want to listen to them. So for those of you who are new to my work and don't know me, I do just want to briefly introduce myself and my mission. So I am a board-certified emergency medicine physician. I'm also a functional health specialist. My journey into functional medicine was really just driven by a deep desire to find the root causes and not just keep managing the symptoms like I was doing day to day on my shifts in the ER. And over the years, I've really had the privilege, quite honestly, of directly helping over 250 women to transform their health. And it really isn't about the numbers. It's honestly about the real lives that we've been able to change. And through my approach, we've been able to address a pretty astounding number of over 122 different conditions at this point at their root. And this has helped a lot of women really reclaim their vitality and just feel like themselves again. And I've also built the Functional Fat Loss RX, which we touched on just a second ago, but this is the system I built specifically just to try to turn confusion into clarity for women and provide a really clear, personalized roadmap for lasting health and fat loss. So my goal today is to empower you with the knowledge and the tools that you need to really understand your body and take control of your health journey at this point. I think that's what's most important, is to feel like we have control over our bodies again and not vice versa, the other way around. So my journey into functional health wasn't just academic here. It was deeply personal, if you can't tell by the photo on the screen. And for most of my life, I was in a tug of war with my body. It felt like I previously was a professional dancer. And if you know anything about that world, there are tons of body image issues that can be associated with that. And so there was a lot of yo-yoing back and forth. And then I finally felt like I got a handle. I became an ER physician, a group fitness coach. I felt like I had mastered discipline and resilience. Or so I thought. And I got in the best shape of my life at that point for my wedding. I got pregnant, stayed active throughout my whole pregnancy, and even opened my own fitness and wellness center. And I really, truly thought I had cracked the code at this point, y'all. But postpartum humbled me for sure. Despite doing everything right, clean eating, calorie deficits, intermittent fasting, intense workouts, my body was just not responding anymore. And I felt exhausted. I felt inflamed and mentally foggy, that mom brain that everybody talks about. And I'll never forget the day that I stepped on a hotel scale during a work trip, and I realized I weighed more than the day I gave birth to my son. And I was like, how the heck did this happen? I was doing all of the exact same things. My scrubs didn't fit anymore. I couldn't keep up with my son. And worst of all, I just didn't recognize the woman who was staring back at me in the mirror anymore. And so, of course, I turned to the system I've been trained in, right? Doctors told me I was fine. Other moms said, this is just mom life, right? But something inside me whispered, or better yet, yelled at me that this is not normal. There has to be more, right? So this personal struggle, it really just fueled my quest for deeper answers beyond what conventional medicine was offering. And it really led me down a path of discovery that ultimately has transformed my own health and became the foundation of my practice now today. And so I listened to that voice. I dove into functional medicine, hormone health, finding the real root causes behind things like fatigue, weight gain, burnout. I hired my own coach. I truly feel like the best coaches have coaches. And I stopped trying to fix myself with these short-term strategies and I was able to finally address the whole picture: hormones, gut health, stress, and most importantly, my mindset. And within 16 weeks, I was able to lose 30 pounds. But more importantly, I finally found the clarity I was looking for. I was able to finally sleep through the night. My gut healed. My energy came back. I could run my business, with focus. I could keep up with my son again, eat intuitively. That included dessert without guilt or bloating. Love my dessert. Hopefully you do too. And the biggest shift that I really had, though, was I stopped abandoning myself, right? I created some non-negotiables around my self-care, my mindset, and my weekly prep. I really felt like I became the woman that I used to dream about, more strong and grounded in what I was doing and just present in my day-to-day life. So now I'm on the mission to just help other women really skip the same cycle of suffering that I've seen in the cycle I went through myself, suffering in silence. And I want you to know that real healing is possible, and not just by working harder, but by getting smarter about what your body actually needs. So this is not about willpower. It's more about wisdom. So you don't need another diet. Let me say that again. You don't need another diet. You need a roadmap. And it's one that honors your hormones and your nervous system and your identity. Because when you heal from the inside out, your transformation, it truly just becomes inevitable at that point. All right, so enough about my story here. We're going to dive in. So have you guys had a chance to take your pre-quiz yet? So that should have been in your emails. I'm going to just start a poll here so we can see how many people have taken the quiz. So just so we can see and have an idea of where we're starting from with everybody today. So if you guys can drop your answers there, I just want to see. Be sure to respond honestly. It just helps me understand what level we're all beginning at. And if you haven't yet, no worries at all. The quiz was really just designed to kind of get you thinking about some deeper connections that we're going to be exploring. Also, you can access your workbook if you guys haven't already by, we'll drop the link in the chat here for you guys if you don't have it already. But the workbook is going to be your guide to really just taking notes and making this content your own. All right, let's see what we got. So about 25% of us have taken the quiz, 75% have not. That's totally fine. All right, so what we're going to do is run through the quiz really quickly. So we are going to start with the first question here. Whoops. All right. So let's see what everyone thinks about this one. When you experience persistent symptoms like unexplained weight gain, chronic fatigue, or mood swings, which of these is often the overlooked root cause that traditional medicine might miss? So we've got A, lack of willpower or discipline, B, a hidden imbalance in your gut microbiome affecting your hormone metabolism, C, normal aging processes, or D, stress. What are you guys' thoughts? You guys should be able to answer here. All right, we got some answers coming in. Let me give you guys a couple more seconds here. Okay, we're getting some different answers here. And we're going to dive into the answer to this one when we start talking about the gut hormone connection section. So All right, I'm going to go ahead and end this one. Okay, looks like most people are thinking the letter B. The next thing we're going to dive into is second question. So your gut and your brain are constantly communicating, but how does this connection specifically impact your hormonal health? So A, it doesn't directly impact your hormones. It's more about digestion. B, gut bacteria produce neurotransmitters that directly regulate hormone production and breakdown. C, hormones primarily influence your gut motility, not the other way around. Or D, the connection is only relevant for stress hormones like cortisol. What are you guys' thoughts? Let's see what you're thinking. And remember, the goal here isn't to know all the answers right now. It's really just to open your mind to what can be possible if we do understand these connections. And like I said, we're going to be giving you all of the answers as we go through this. Okay, we're kind of split here. And I give you guys 5 more seconds. Get your answers in. All right. Okay, it looks like we primarily are thinking B again here. Got an 80-20. All right, so next question, question 3 of 5. This one's going to get a bit more technical, but when we talk about intestinal permeability, you've probably heard it called leaky gut, out in the regular world. What is the key difference between paracellular and transcellular permeability, and why does it matter for your healing? So A, they're just different names for the same condition. B, paracellular involves gaps between cells, while transcellular involves substances passing through damaged cells, and they each require a different healing approach. C, one is a temporary issue, the other is permanent. And D, only paracellular permeability is relevant to hormone health. What are we thinking here, guys? This one, honestly, like I said, it's so important for understanding, but it is a bit technical. So what's your best guess here? All right. Oh, we're getting some shifting happening here. We're going to get 5 more seconds to get our answers in. All right. And we're going to end this one. Okay. You guys are like dead set on the letter B today. Everyone thinks everything is the letter B. We'll see if you guys are all right. All right. So we're going to move on to question 4 out of 5. So many people jump straight to supplements or restrictive diets for gut issues. However, what is the often missed foundational step in true functional healing that addresses the order in which your body heals? So A, taking the most expensive probiotics you can find. B, following a strict elimination diet for an extended period. C, understanding and addressing the hierarchy of healing, starting with foundational physiological processes. And D, relying solely on symptom suppression with medication. Okay, we're all scattered across the board with this one. So it's going to be interesting when we get to the answer. And this question is really crucial for, especially if you feel like you've tried everything. What do we feel like is the missing piece here? Okay, we're becoming a little less skewed. 5 more seconds. All right, 3, 2, and 1. We'll end that one. Okay. So it looks like we finally got off the letter B to the letter C, primarily is what we're thinking. And we got a couple people thinking about A. And then we're back to our final question. So let me publish this one for you guys. So beyond just having quote unquote good bacteria, you have 5 critical areas of microbiome health. So that's density, diversity, function, ecology, and dynamics. These are essential for long-term gut resilience, but how do they all differ? So A, they're all synonyms for the same thing, just have more good bacteria. B, they represent different aspects of a healthy gut ecosystem, from the sheer number of bacteria to their variety, activity, and interaction within our environment. C, only diversity matters, the rest are minor details. Or D, these terms are are only relevant for severe gut diseases, not everyday health. What are we thinking here? Looks like so far we have a clear winner. Just give us your best answer. All right, 5 more seconds. 3, 2. All right, you guys declared yourselves on this one. We're going back to the letter B. We love the letter B. All right, awesome. Okay, so that ends our quiz. So we're going to highlight the answers as we're going through this today, guys. So thanks for participating. As you can see, these are not all simple questions, and that's okay. The purpose of the class is to provide you with the answers and the clarity you need to navigate complex topics like this. The pre-quiz and the workbook are really just fantastic tools to help you engage more deeply and just make sure you get the most value from our time together here. So really quickly, this is, I feel like, a critical point. It just bears a little bit of repeating that this is not about willpower. It's all about physiology. So your symptoms are going to persist when things like your gut hormone signals are out of sync, things like energy crashes, stubborn weight gain, disrupted sleep, the unpredictable mood shifting. These can all be coming from your gut. And when these really vital communication pathways are disrupted, your body is going to struggle. So it's not that you're not trying hard enough. It's just that the internal symptoms or systems are misfiring. And the great news, though, is that when we learn to align these signals, the change does become really predictable and sustainable. So you can finally stop fighting your body and could just start flowing through life again, which is what we all desire, right? So let's dive into the meat of what we're going to talk about today, which are the 7 steps to gut revival. Okay, so the 7 steps are really a framework that I've developed and refined, and it's what has helped so many women really finally reclaim their health. So we're going to walk through each of these steps in detail and provide you with some clear, actionable insights of how they all fit together. So these steps are: 1, stop blaming yourself; 2, know the gut hormone connection; identify your primary dysfunction. We're going to talk about the 5 healing priorities you must address, why most approaches fail, how to then restore your microbiome diversity, and then how to get support. So if you guys are ready to dive in and learn about what you came here for today, go ahead and drop a 1 in the chat for me, guys. Oh, I see Alicia said she's going to try to win this. She's staying till the end. All right, if y'all are ready to dive in, let's go ahead and see those 1s in the chat. All right, all right, all right. Keep them coming until I see a few more, then we'll dive in. Okay, 1. I love it. All right, amazing. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about it. So let's start with step 1. So stop blaming yourself. This is important because this is foundational. For far too long, women have really just been told their symptoms are normal. It's all in your head, right? And I was kind of surprised when I first saw the statistic, but being on the other side of it now, I'm not too surprised. So a shocking 80% of women actually report feeling unheard or not believed by medical professionals. And if you've experienced this, you are definitely not alone. This statistic does validate your struggle. But something that a lot of people don't know is that women are actually 50% more likely than men to be misdiagnosed after a heart attack. I've seen it in the ER. And it takes an average of 7.5 years for women to receive an accurate diagnosis of an autoimmune disease compared to only 4.5 years for men. It's a significant discrepancy, 3 more years of suffering and not knowing what you're dealing with. So it's not about individual doctors being dismissive. It's about systemic gaps that are missing in understanding women's unique physiology. So just know that your symptoms are not normal. They're not just in your head. This is your biology speaking to you, and your body is sending you signals. We just need to take the time to learn to listen to them. And a powerful reframe that I really like to use here is that your symptoms are not your enemy as much as we like to villainize them. They are your body's way of asking for help. So when you have something like bloating, it's not your body betraying you, it's your gut saying, I need support, give it to me. When you have brain fog, it's not just mental weakness, it's your brain saying, I need better fuel and less inflammation. So the traditional medical system, while it is really excellent for acute care, it's not always built to understand the nuances of women's unique physiology, especially when it comes to these very interconnected issues like gut and hormonal imbalances. So this is why a functional approach is so crucial, because we're going to look beyond the surface to understand those interconnected systems and how they all work together at play and really validate your experience to seek those true root causes. So let's release the self-blame. Your body is speaking. We just need to learn its language. Okay, so that's what we're going to dive into. And that also answers the first question on our pre-quiz, which is, it was B. You guys were great with the letter B. A hidden imbalance in your gut microbiome will affect your hormone metabolism. Okay, it's an intricate balance. So we move on to step number 2. So we need to understand the gut hormone connection. This is where so many pieces of the puzzle start to fit together. So your gut is not just about digestion. It's actually a central hub for hormone regulation. So your gut imbalances will directly fuel hormonal chaos, quite honestly. So it will impact your crucial hormones, like cortisol, your stress hormone. It gets a really bad rap on social media, but we do actually need cortisol, y'all. We don't want it to just not have any. It is there for a reason. We just don't want too much of it. It also controls things like your thyroid hormones, which affect your metabolism, your insulin, which affects your blood sugar regulation, and your estrogen, which of course affects your reproductive health and so many other things. So here's something really fascinating that you can take away. Your gut produces actually more serotonin than your brain. About 90% of it, actually. Serotonin is your happy hormone. So it doesn't just affect your mood, though. It also regulates things like your gut motility, your appetite, and it will even influence your sleep-wake cycle. So when your gut is inflamed, serotonin production is going to be disrupted. And that is why gut issues a lot of times will come with mood changes. You'd be surprised how many people have gut issues but no gut symptoms. It's very enlightening when you start to think about it. So let me give you a specific example here. If you haven't ever heard of something called the estrobolome. So the estrobolome is a collection of gut bacteria that produce an enzyme. It's called beta-glucuronidase, but it basically is just going to deconjugate estrogen. So when you conjugate estrogen, it's like tagging it and saying it needs to go to the trash. Okay, so the estrogen's already been used up. We need to tag it. It needs to be eliminated from the body. When you deconjugate it, you take that tag off. And so the liver has processed it for elimination, but instead now it's just going to be reabsorbed because it doesn't have that tag or that marker on it. So then you end up with new estrogen as well as your recirculating estrogen, leading to estrogen dominance. So that will lead to things like heavy periods, fibroids, breast tenderness, and for some people, even an increased cancer risk because of so much estrogen circulating. And another connection I feel like that a lot of people miss is that your gut bacteria, they actually help convert your inactive thyroid hormone, which is T4, if you've ever seen that on your labs, to active thyroid hormone, which is T3. And about 20% of that inactive to active thyroid hormone conversion actually occurs in your gut. So if you have dysbiosis or inflammation, this conversion will be impaired and it can lead to hypothyroid symptoms, even if your TSH is normal. And this is why I hate when people just run TSH on their own. Even a TSH with a reflex to T4, which a lot of you may have seen on your labs, it's not enough. So why do I care about how much inactive thyroid hormone you're making? That's T4. I want to know how much it's actually being converted to the active version that can then be utilized on my tissues, right? So that's why I'm going to get off my soapbox about the TSH thing, but don't just settle for TSH alone. And then one more thing we can connect it to is cortisol, right? So we talked about that a little bit earlier, but chronic gut inflammation will trigger your HPA axis. So that's basically just how your brain communicates with your adrenal glands to tell them to make cortisol. So it's going to keep you in this state of chronic stress. The inflammation keeps telling your body to pump out cortisol. And then the cortisol damages your gut lining, which creates this vicious cycle that just keeps happening over and over and over again. So if you think about it, it's like your gut is the conductor of your hormonal orchestra. If the conductor's off, the whole symphony is out of tune at that point, right? So that also brings us to the answer to that pre-quiz question number 2, which is that gut bacteria do produce those neurotransmitters, and they directly regulate things like your hormone production and your breakdown, right? So this is why understanding the gut hormone axis is really so crucial. It's not just about digestion. It's about this intricate communication network that governs your entire hormonal system. So if this system is balanced, then your body can truly thrive. Okay, so that's why I thought it's so important for us to talk about gut. And an example of this, and I love sharing Ashley's story because it really just perfectly illustrates what we just talked about with the gut hormone connection. So Ashley came to me after struggling for years with her weight and just trying every diet you can think of. She had even turned to GLP-1 medication, and it did help her lose a significant amount of weight, but it really came at a cost that she really prepared for. So her relationship with food became completely dysfunctional, honestly. She wasn't hungry most days. She'd eat maybe one meal a day, and that was it. And she was feeling weak, she was feeling tired, and she was frustrated because she couldn't tone up and build the muscle that she wanted, even though she had lost the weight. And what scared her the most was really how much muscle she was actually losing. So she had no energy, her clothes still didn't fit the way that she wanted, and she didn't, most importantly, recognize herself in the mirror anymore. Not just physically, but mentally, because your gut affects so much of that. But the beautiful part is once we addressed her gut hormone connection and helped her understand what her body actually needed, everything really shifted. So her energy was back by week 3. She had 4 inches off her waist by week 4. And within just 4 weeks, she went from barely eating to eating 3 high protein meals a day. So it's a big transformation. And that was somehow even with her packed schedule of being a mom, running a business, working full time in corporate. And she told me that it actually felt doable, maybe even a little enjoyable. So these changes, y'all, they're not just physical. It's really a lot about your mental and your mindset too. But for the first time in years, really, she felt like she was finally not just surviving, she was thriving. And this is the power of understanding and working with your gut hormone connection instead of against it. Okay. So now we are going to move on to the next step, which is identifying your primary dysfunction. So this is where we move beyond just treating the symptoms and we get to the heart of what's truly going on. Many women are actually stuck in this cycle of guessing, right? We're trying one diet, we're trying a different supplement, then we tried this exercise routine, and then we just keep going back and forth and just hope that something will stick at some point. But without really knowing the root cause, it's kind of like just throwing darts in the dark at a dartboard, right? Hoping that they hit. And so what we utilize is my symptom decoder framework, which really just helps you pinpoint the actual underlying root cause, which is most likely driving your specific symptoms. So this means we don't have to guess anymore. We get a clear path to targeted healing. And this often involves understanding different concepts like leaky gut, dysbiosis, and specific nutrient deficiencies that will contribute to this dysfunction. So we're going to look at the patterns and the connections as well as your unique health history to understand why your body is expressing these symptoms. And this is really truly key to just unlocking that lasting relief for you. So this slide is really just meant to illustrate our signature methodology that we use. So what we need to look at is mapping your symptoms and determining your primary dysfunction. So we're going to start by deeply listening to your symptoms and your health history. Your symptoms are clues, and we just need to map them to identify the most likely underlying dysfunction. And this is where our symptom decoder framework comes in. So it's a tool that we utilize even for our one-on-one clients, and it's something that we also make available to our Clarity Circle members, which is our brand new functional health membership, which, by the way, is open right now for early bird pricing for a very limited time. But anyways, moving on, we also are going to test. We're not going to guess, okay? So we're going to confirm the root cause issue. This is crucial. We need to use targeted functional lab testing to really confirm our suspicions and get objective data. This is what's going to take the guesswork out of the equation and make sure we're addressing the actual root cause and not just a symptom. And then the third step is we need to match the appropriate lever. So once we know the root cause, we're going to match the most effective lever to pull. So these are personalized strategies, whether it's for nutrition, training, stress management, gut healing protocols, but it's all about the precision and not just taking these huge broad strokes at things. So this methodology just makes sure that every step we take is intentional and really evidence-based as well and tailored specifically to you and your body's needs. And so a really good illustration of this is Stephanie's story. So it really perfectly demonstrates the power of our methodology. So Stephanie was a physical therapist in the Army. So she knew how to train and how to eat, or at least she thought she did, right? For years, she was doing everything quote unquote right. Like she was training 5 to 6 times a week. She was eating clean. She was staying consistent. But despite all of that, the scale just literally kept going up. So at one point, she even basically failed the physical portion, the measurements of your Army fitness test that you have to do. And that's actually really devastating for someone whose career actually depends on something like physical fitness. And so this is exactly why we don't guess, we test. When we ran her labs, we found early signs of subclinical hypothyroidism and autoimmune dysfunction. And these were things that weren't showing up on her standard military medical screenings. So by applying our methodology and really mapping her symptoms, then we tested to confirm the root causes and we matched the right levers. She saw really incredible results. So she was down 10 pounds in 8 weeks. Her thyroid issue was able to be addressed. But the most incredible part I think about her story is that by week 12, she hit her goal weight. And then she PR'd every single segment of her Army fitness test that next month. So after just having this, drastic change and essentially failing her Army fitness test a few months back, she came back much stronger, much faster, much leaner. And this is what happens when you stop guessing and you start working with precision. So Stephanie's success really just demonstrates that even when you think you're doing everything right, there can be some hidden imbalances that need to be addressed systematically. Okay. So That brings us into step number 4. And so we're going to spend a little bit of time here, but these are the 5 healing priorities that we have to address. So I want you to think of these as the non-negotiables, the areas that we must address to build a really strong foundation for your gut and your hormonal health. So I'm going to walk you through each one, and then I'm going to give you some tangible insights that you can actually start using today. So you may want to take some notes on this section. So the first thing we're going to talk about is digestion. So this is where everything starts. So if you can't break down and absorb your food properly, nothing else is going to work optimally. Here are really 2 simple tests that you can do at home to just check your gut lining integrity and your stomach acid levels. Okay, so I'm going to break this down on how you should do it. Both of these tests, they should be done first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, but on 2 different days. Okay, so the first one you're going to do is the apple cider vinegar test. So you're going to take 2 teaspoons of good quality apple cider vinegar. You want to make sure that it says with the mother. Okay. If it doesn't say with the mother, it is not good quality and it's going to burn and cause issues and it's a bad test. Okay. So it needs to say with the mother. You're going to take 2 teaspoons, in 200 mLs of water. And then you're going to pay attention to your body's response. If you don't have symptoms, that's a great thing. That means you can use apple cider vinegar as actually dietary support. So you can do 1 to 2 tablespoons mixed with water before meals to help with digestion and to help build your stomach acid. And then if you have things like burning, nausea, or stomach pain, though, this is going to suggest that you actually have possible gastric mucosa damage. So you need a stomach lining healing protocol. So that's with supplements like GI Revive, aloe, or colostrum, collagen, all these different things, marshmallow root, which, by the way, if you're going to start going out and seeking these things, supplements are a very highly unregulated industry, y'all. So please don't just go out and buy anything. I'm gonna throw something out here, and I threw it out for yesterday's class, so I'm gonna do it here too. If you guys are interested, I do have a link with the top supplements that I recommend, the right brands, the ones that we know are pure and tested. And if you guys are interested in grabbing that, drop supplements in the chat because I will deliver it on demand only. But I'm happy to provide that link to y'all, especially since I offered it to the class yesterday. So I want to make sure y'all know what to put in your bodies that's actually going to help you. Back to the subject at hand. If when you do this test, you have itchy or hot sensations, this indicates actually a histamine reaction. So that means you want to support your stomach acid, but also follow something like a low histamine diet and reduce your overall inflammation. Okay. So those are the particular responses you might get to the apple cider vinegar test. The second test you're going to do is the baking soda challenge. So this one, you're going to mix a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda in 200 mLs of water. You're going to set a timer. You're going to drink this. Don't guzzle it. Drink it over about 60 seconds. Take your time. And then you're going to wait until the point where you have a large burp. Okay. If you burp within 3 minutes, that means that your stomach acid production is likely adequate. So you're going to focus on just supporting your body's natural production with lifestyle factors, things like eating slowly, chewing thoroughly, dedicated eating zones. Okay. If you don't have a burp within 3 minutes, this suggests that you have low stomach acid. So you need to start working on your parasympathetic state. That is your rest and digest state. So we need to do this by utilizing lifestyle factors and considering also potentially hydrochloric acid or stomach acid supplementation with things like betaine or gentian root. Most women actually over 30 and tons of women in my program have declining stomach acid. And if you don't have enough stomach acid, if you think about it, you can't absorb things. So it doesn't matter what you supplement with if you're not absorbing it, right? So it also affects your ability to break down protein. So if you feel like when you eat protein, you get bloating or you have some kind of indigestion, it may be that you have low stomach acid. It affects your mineral absorption, and it sets the stage for things like SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and gut dysbiosis. All right. So sorry, we spent a lot of time on digestion, but we're going to move on to inflammation. Okay, so inflammation, I like to call it the silent saboteur. So this is number 2. It is often the hidden driver between a lot of stubborn weight, brain fog, and hormonal chaos. So what most people don't know is that chronic inflammation will disrupt something called leptin. Okay, so leptin is your satiety hormone. It tells your brain and your body that you're full and you don't need to keep eating. And when leptin is blocked, your brain thinks you're starving even when you're not. Okay, So what happens is this gut inflammation connection becomes really huge because you can have these endotoxins essentially from bacteria in your gut that cause systemic inflammation. They cross that compromised gut barrier and then they disrupt your leptin. So if you always feel like that you're hungry all the time, no matter, you just like can't eat enough, it may be an issue with leptin and potentially gut inflammation. So we'll move on to number 3, which is this nervous system regulation, right? So your nervous system is like your master controller. So it's going to control everything from your digestion to your hormone production to your immune function. And when you're stuck in this really sympathetic or fight or flight, you've probably heard of it as overdrive, your healing stops. It literally will not happen when you're in fight or flight. So a practical tip that you can utilize is using breathing techniques before you eat. Your digestion starts before you even start putting the food in your mouth, right? It's when you start thinking about it. So what we want to do is start to calm everything down. So we can do a 4-7-8 breathing technique, and that you will do before meals. So you can inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 7 seconds, and then exhale for 8 seconds. And this is what is going to activate your parasympathetic nervous system and really improve digestion. We did this yesterday, so we're going to do it again today. Let's all take a nice deep breath and let's do it together. Let's practice it. So we're going to inhale for 4. We're going to hold it for 7. And then we're going to exhale for 8. Take your time. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You might have started to feel some stress release from your body and some tension as you were doing that exhale. That puts our body into the right state for digestion. Just remember that chronic stress is really going to elevate your cortisol, and that directly impacts your gut microbiome as well as your intestinal permeability, which is that leaky gut. Okay. So we move on to nutrition. So the thing that I just want you guys to remember about nutrition is that it is not just about calories. We have to give our body the right building blocks to heal. So most women need anywhere from 25 to 35 grams of fiber daily for optimal gut health. But the average American is only getting about 15 grams. So we're pretty darn deficient. So we want to focus on diverse fiber sources, not just one type. And here's a little gem. If you want to really feed your beneficial bacteria in your gut, like one is called Akkermansia. What we can do is include 1 to 2 tablespoons of resistant starch every day. Okay, so this is going to really feed those beneficial bacteria and strengthen your gut lining. There's also the cooled potato trick that I like to tell people about. So if you cook potatoes, you let them cool completely in the fridge overnight, and then you eat them cold or you reheat them gently. The cooling process actually converts regular starch to this resistant starch that I was just telling you about. And so it acts like fiber and feeds your gut with that beneficial bacteria. You can also potentially do this with rice and pasta, but I must say that it's only been proven with a potato. Okay. Other great sources are going to include green bananas, plantain flour, or you can just add 1 to 2 tablespoons of like raw potato starch or resistant starch to like a smoothie. It's tasteless, but it's very effective. Okay. And then the last thing we're going to talk about, like we said, was detox. This is the last of the 5 healing priorities. So a lot of times when we think about detox, we think about things like juice cleanses and trying to support your body's natural elimination pathways that way, but it doesn't work. Just a little secret there. Your liver is going to process your hormones in 2 phases. Okay. Phase 1 breaks them down. Phase 2 packages them up and eliminates them out of the body. Many women have a sluggish phase 2. Okay, so this is going to lead to those hormones recycling and that estrogen dominance that I was talking about earlier. So some simple support that you can do for this is including things like cruciferous vegetables daily. So those are broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and they do contain compounds that help support healthy estrogen metabolism. And so those are kind of some little tips there on the detox side. So these 5 priorities, they do all work together, as you can see, very synergistically. So you can't just focus on one and expect lasting results. So this is why our approach has to be comprehensive and really personalized to your unique needs. And we're going to move on to talk about Donica's story here, which I just feel beautifully illustrates the resilience and the progress that's possible with your body, even when you're facing challenges. So she was able to make some progress despite having a very significant back injury. So we were doing things like chair workouts, like with very minimal activities. Sometimes we couldn't even stretch to a certain degree and get on and off the ground. So This is what's possible, and you can still heal even when life is throwing you curveballs, but it's about working with your body and adapting. And her journey reminds us that progress is not always linear, right? But with the right support and understanding of your body, you can continue to make progress and move forward. So we're going to move on to step 5 in our process here. So why do most approaches fail? Okay. So many of you have probably tried the DIY route. We're talking, the endless supplements, the restrictive elimination diets, or maybe you just spent hours Googling your symptoms online and trying to figure it out. And these efforts, they obviously come from a very good place, but they often fall short. And the reason why is that we are addressing symptoms without really understanding the hierarchy of healing. That was one of our questions on our pre-quiz. So you can take a probiotic for bloating, let's say, but if the root cause is low stomach acid or your nervous system is dysregulated, that probiotic's not going to stick. It's not even going to be absorbed into your body, right? So we need to address these foundational issues first. The other thing I see a lot in terms of mistakes is restrictive diets and using them as long-term solutions. So things like an AIP diet, let's say, which is an autoimmune protocol diet, they can be very helpful short-term, but if you stay on them for too long, you can actually decrease your gut diversity, which is counterproductive for your long-term gut health. So we actually don't recommend keeping anyone on AIP diets for any more than 4-ish weeks, because any longer than that, and you're going to start to really see some significant long-term issues. The last thing is going to be one-size-fits-all probiotics. You hear this all the time. Just take a probiotic, right? Probiotics are not a magic bullet, y'all. They have to be personalized, and their effects are often transient, meaning that they're fleeting, right? Though they're not going to last. And what works for one person might not work for another, and blindly taking them can sometimes literally worsen your symptoms. If you think about SIBO, which is bacterial overgrowth in your intestines, and you're giving and feeding it the wrong strain of bacteria that's already overgrown, then you're just making the problem worse. So it's really important to understand that strain specificity is important, and probiotics have to be personalized. And so the key takeaway here is that if you don't have a personalized root cause approach that really respects your body's natural healing hierarchy, you'll likely just continue to keep spinning your wheels. And a really great example of this is Jerica. So she had a very frustrating symptom, right? Bloating. So she was tired of the discomfort and the unpredictability, right? But by implementing a really targeted approach, Jerica was able to experience pretty rapid relief here. Her bloating was gone in just 4 weeks. Her routine and her confidence really became locked in. And this is really highlighting that when you get to the root of the issue, not only do your physical symptoms improve, but there is a profound impact on things like your daily routine and your overall confidence. So it's all about really just feeling good in your own skin again. So let's move on to step 6. So after we've gone through all of this gut healing, et cetera, potentially treating the root cause issue, killing off bacteria sometimes is what we need to do. We have to restore our microbiome diversity. And so this is a critical, often overlooked piece of the puzzle for long-term health and resilience. Your gut is kind of like this complex ecosystem. It's like a bustling city of lots of microorganisms or people. The more diverse and balanced this ecosystem is, the more resilient your gut and your overall health will be. So here's what a lot of people don't understand about microbiome health is it's not just about having good bacteria, like you might hear all the time. Excuse me. It's more about these 5 critical dimensions. So I've got 3 of them on the screen here, but it's density, diversity, dynamics, ecology, and function. Okay. I wish I could say it was like the 5 Ds, but it's really 3 Ds, an E, and an F. I'm just glad it at least goes through the alphabet, but 5 Ds would be more catchy. But we'll go through the 3 Ds first. So first is going to be density. You need enough beneficial bacteria. So it's like having enough workers in your city to do all of the jobs. The second thing is going to be diversity. You need variety. And this is why when people eat the same thing every single day, day in, day out, this becomes a problem. A healthy gut has 300 to 500 different species in it. And most Americans have less than 150, literally. So we're literally half of what we need to be. And this is also what contributes to something called gastropause, if you guys have never heard of that. So a little gem here, as you get older, your gut and what it is able to do and your function, just like menopause, things start to decline, your gut starts to decline with age. And a lot of that can come from not having enough gut microbiome diversity. And that's because as we get set in our ways and get older, that we limit what we eat and we don't really get out there and try different things. And so try not to fall into that trap as much as you can. The third D is dynamics. Your microbiome should be stable but adaptable. So we want to make sure that we're able to bounce back from things like stress or antibiotics very quickly. And then E is ecology. So this is just making sure the right bacteria are in the right places. So you don't want small intestine bacteria, let's say in your colon, okay? And then the last one is F, function. So your bacteria need to be doing their jobs, right? So they need to be producing short chain fatty acids, which are going to help maintain your gut health and then also help you metabolize hormones and support your immune system. So really, here's something powerful you guys can start doing right away today. So try to eat 30 different plant foods per week. This will help you. This isn't as hard as it sounds because herbs, spices, nuts, seeds, fruits, vegetables, they all count, okay? So we want to focus on really like prebiotic diversity, so different types of fibers because those feed different bacteria. So you can include things that are called inulins, which come in like artichokes and garlic, pectin, which is in apples, and beta-glucan, which is in oats, okay? So those are some things to include. And then don't forget to try to include Akkermansia, that one I mentioned earlier, because that is something that really strengthens your gut lining. And you can find that in polyphenol-rich foods, which are things like pomegranate, green tea, and cranberries, okay? So that's just a couple examples there. And so just remember, this isn't about taking random probiotics. That's not going to help. We already discussed that. It's about creating an environment where beneficial bacteria can thrive long-term. That is where true gut revival happens. Okay, y'all? So gut health rocks. So as you can see, it is not just a buzzword. It is the foundation of your well-being, and it really can transform your whole life. And I believe that if you have been on the call up until this point, you do possess the drive and the commitment it takes to really excel in your health journey. And you're here because you're ready for answers and real change. And the exciting part is that you can get started with something right now. And the insights you gain today are really pretty powerful. So that path to healing is within reach for you. And just please remember before we move into the next section, and I want to emphasize this crucial point that nothing I've shared here today is mere theory or fluff that might work. This is exactly what I've done in my own practice and what has consistently helped women reclaim their health and their vitality. So stop watching the things that you hear on TikTok necessarily. Some of it is good, some of it is bad. But everything here is evidence-based, okay? So these are the things that you want to start implementing. And it doesn't matter if you feel like you're a complete beginner or if you're overwhelmed by all the health information out there. The key is just to take those baby steps, right? And we want to take action, and we want to take it now before things get worse. Every big transformation in your life, I'm sure it started with a single step. So you do have the power to really just begin your gut revival journey today. And I encourage and empower you to do so. And let's remember the benefits of gut revival, and let's just recap it really quick. Okay, so you'll finally understand why your symptoms are happening. So there's no more guessing and no more feeling dismissed. You'll start to feel much more empowered because you do have the real answers about your body and what it actually needs. And you'll stop spinning your wheels with these one-size-fits-all programs and templates that don't address your unique physiology. And most importantly, you discover clarity, a clear next step towards that lasting healing we've been talking about. And ultimately, this is all about just helping you be able to move, take action, and trying to inspire people to do so. Because transforming your health is so important to you living a vibrant and fulfilling life and just being the best version of yourself, all right? So if there's really one thing to take away here, it's that I've literally cracked the code to understanding your body's hidden signals at this point. And this isn't just a system, it's a profound shift in how we approach your health. So it's fundamentally changed my own world, and I've seen it transform the lives of so many of my clients. So you do have the potential to transform yourself here and to gain back that control, right? And to feel confident and vibrant in your own health journey again. So those answers are within you. I am just here to help you unlock them. Okay, so next we're going to talk about the final step, which is getting support. And so I'll introduce you really to how we can harness the power of gut revival and how we apply them in a supportive way through my signature program, which is the Functional Fat Loss RX. And so this is really designed to simplify functional healing. I know there's a lot included in here, and providing you with a personalized path and some unparalleled expert guidance and the incredible support of a community that truly understands what you're going through. So it's about moving from confusion to clarity and from struggle to that really sustainable success. So as we move into discussing how you can take the next step, I really observed that there's probably two people in the classes that I've done like this in the past. So first, we have the information gatherers. These are very wonderful individuals. We love to learn. We often delay our decisions, and we stay in this cycle of kind of trial and error, and we accumulate a lot of knowledge without consistent action. And you might feel like you're stuck in a little bit of analysis paralysis. And I can say this from my own personal experience because I've been this person and I stayed stuck for a long time. And then there are the action takers. And these are the people who decide they understand the value of getting support. They move faster because they're getting consistent feedback and guidance. So I just want you to ask yourself honestly in this moment, which one are you? It's fine to be either one, but are you ready to really move from gathering information to taking decisive action at this point? And there's really two paths you can take from here. So path one, you figure it out alone, totally cool. This often does lead to continued confusion though over where to start. Everyone hits a plateau at some point, and that will last weeks or even months sometimes. And the money and time lost on plans that simply don't fit your unique physiology, you end up just losing all of that. Path two, we work together one-on-one, and this is where you really get the targeted labs, the tailored plan specifically for you, and you're going to receive those weekly adjustments for fast feedback, ensuring you're always moving forward and never staying in a plateau. And you do have clear milestones over the 16 weeks that are going to be guided by experts who really understand your journey. So next, I will show you how the one-on-one program works. And don't forget, we still have those exciting giveaways coming up. And even outside of the one that I told y'all about, I've got way more to give away. Some of you might have been here yesterday. I don't know, but it is your second opportunity at those. Don't spoil it for everybody else. So we'll dive into the one-on-one program and what exactly this is. Really quickly. So this is my signature physician-led program. It is designed specifically for high-achieving women like yourself. Over 16 weeks, we're going to work together to help you rebalance your hormones, heal your gut, and achieve fat loss in a way that is actually sustainable. So the core philosophy here is personalized, not protocols. We don't believe in one size fits all. Your body is unique, and your plan has to be too. So critically, we are going to test. We're not going to guess, and we're going to coach. We're not going to blame. So we use objective data to guide our strategy, and we're going to empower you every step of the way without judgment here, okay? We don't do that. So to be clear, who do we help? This is specifically designed for those high-achieving women, usually around the ages of 30 to 50. We work a lot with moms who are doing everything right, yet they still feel stuck. You know, the women whose labs have been called normal while their symptoms still persist, you know that something's off and you're ready for some real answers. And those who want personalization and some expert oversight rather than just some generic advice or another quick fix. So if this sounds like you, then this program is really designed to be your ultimate solution. So what's included here? So when you join the program, you get functional consultations in advanced labs with clear clinical interpretation. So we're not just running labs, we interpret them for you. We connect the dots between the data and your symptoms, and we're going to give you personalized nutrition that actually fits your routine, your life, your preferences. So no restrictive diets, but a plan tailored to your body and your lifestyle. You're going to get hormone-aligned training plans for the home, gym, hybrid, baby wearing, stroller workouts. We do them all. That's the beauty of a customized program. It's exercise designed to support your hormones no matter what, not deplete them. And then you're getting one-on-one coaching with momentum calls, high-touch weekly feedback. And this is where I feel the magic really, truly happens. This is consistent support and adjustments to make sure you keep moving forward. You're getting root cause education, and you'll understand why we're doing what we're doing, empowering you for life. So you're also going to get access to our private community, which is the Clarity Circle. It is a supportive space, our functional health membership, where you can connect with other women on a similar journey. So this is really a holistic approach that's just designed to address every aspect of your health. So really quickly, I'm going to take you through the 4 pillars of Functional Fat Loss RX. It's built on making sure we have a comprehensive and sustainable approach to your health. So It's designed to address a lot of the common pitfalls that I'll go through as well and provide a really structured pathway for you to have lasting results. So let's go ahead and dive into each one here. So the first pillar is the comprehensive health blueprint. This is where we lay the foundation. So we're going to ensure that you understand your unique physiology from the ground up. It involves deep diving into your health history, mapping out your symptoms like we talked about, targeted functional lab testing. And we want to make sure you have a truly personalized roadmap for your healing journey. And so this brings us to the top mistake that I see women making here, which is guessing about your hormones. You know, so many women get stuck here. Many women are trying to balance their hormones based on symptoms alone or generic advice, what other people have experienced or done. But without objective data, you're essentially flying blind and you're often making things worse, I found. So in our program, testing is how we stop making things worse. We use targeted functional lab tests to get a very precise picture of your hormonal balance, your gut health, and your other key biomarkers. And this is going to allow us to really create a plan that's tailored to your body and eliminate the guesswork and really accelerate your results in the process as well. And so here's Dina's success story, which just illustrates the power of precise data-driven interventions. So Dina was looking to make some significant body composition changes, and by addressing her unique physiology, she got these awesome results. So she was down 4 inches off her waist in 4 weeks, but this isn't just about weight, right? It's about reducing inflammation and improving hormonal balance. We also need to optimize your body composition. It's all very interconnected with your gut health. And that brings us to the next step in the process. And so pillar number 2 is our hormone optimization protocol. Once we have your blueprint, we're going to implement strategies specifically designed to bring your hormones into optimal balance. So this involves personalized nutrition, hormone-aligned training, and that targeted support to make sure your endocrine system is functioning at its highest and best. And this brings me to Rachel's story. And her transformation, I feel like, is really inspiring because she was a newly postpartum mom when she came and started working with me. She's also a nurse working 12-hour shifts. I think she was only like 8 weeks postpartum when we started working together. And she dropped 25 pounds in 16 weeks, all right? And what makes her story so powerful is that she achieved this while navigating the unique hormonal challenges of the postpartum period, when your body is literally still recovering and your hormones are so in flux. And this kind of sustainable weight loss is really a direct result of addressing underlying hormonal and metabolic imbalances that often prevent women from achieving their goals. So whether that's during major life transitions like postpartum or something else. So her success is really just a testament to what's possible when you do have a personalized plan that works with your body's current state and not against it. And that brings me to the second top mistake that I see women making here, which is generic protocols. So keeping women stuck here is relying on this one-size-fits-all approach. You've seen the one-size-fits-all diets, the cookie-cutter workout plans, the general supplement recommendations that everybody should take. While they might work for some, they rarely work for everyone, especially when we're dealing with complex gut and hormonal issues. So our philosophy is that your plan must fit your physiology and your life as well. That's an important part of this. So we don't just give you a protocol. We're going to co-create this together to create a sustainable lifestyle that integrates really seamlessly with your unique body, your unique schedule, and your unique preferences. This is the beauty of true personalization. And that brings us to pillar 3. And so this is our accelerated transformation period. This is really where we dial in the interventions and we create significant momentum and visible results. We're pouring gasoline on the fire at this point. It's a phase of focused action, and we're going to implement the personalized strategies from your blueprint and your protocol and closely monitor your progress to make sure you make rapid yet sustainable, important transformation here. And so the top mistake that I'm seeing women making here is that they're not utilizing expert feedback. So you're going to hit a plateau at some point, right? You start a new plan, you see some progress, and then you hit that plateau. This is incredibly common, and it's where most people give up because they think it's just a lack of willpower. I need to do more. I need to work harder. But the truth is, plateaus will require weekly adjustments, not just more willpower. Your body's needs are going to shift as your body changes and improves and your environment changes, and your plan has to evolve with you. So without expert eyes on your data and your symptoms, it's impossible to really know what micro adjustments you actually need to be making. So our program really provides that high touch weekly feedback and make sure that you never get stuck in a plateau for very long. So we make the necessary tweaks to keep you moving forward. And that takes me to lovely Judy's story. I love talking about her because it shows that transformation is possible at any age. Doesn't matter your life or your stage of life or your daily demands. So she was a stay-at-home grandma to twin boys who dropped 30 pounds in 12 weeks. She was also a newly diagnosed diabetic, and she was able to reverse her insulin resistance. And so this isn't just about the number on the scale. It's about reclaiming your energy and your vitality and the ability to just fully engage with life again, even with a busy schedule. So actually, when I spoke with Judy just 2 days ago, she was really excited to share with me that she's now up to an amazing 50 pounds lost, y'all. So we should give it up for Judy. But her transformation really, honestly, it just inspires me every day. It's a very powerful reminder that with the right guidance, real results are achievable for real women at any stage of life, right? And so that brings us very beautifully into the last pillar, which I think honestly is the most crucial of all of these. This is making sure that your results last a lifetime. What's the point of going through all of this if we can't make it last? And so many people get stuck in programs or doing these things. They get to the end goal and then they don't know what to do. And then that is why we see the yo-yo cycle back and forth. The statistic actually is 94% of people who lose weight or make a big health change, they will reverse all that progress or regain all that weight plus more within 1 to 5 years. 94%. It's darn near 100%, y'all. So this is why this part is crucial. It's not just about achieving your goals. It's about sustaining them. We are going to equip you with the knowledge and the strategies to maintain your gut and your hormonal health and prevent those relapses. We need you to continue thriving long after the program ends. That's super important to us. And so again, top mistake I see here, no maintenance plan. So this is what keeps us in that cycle of yo-yo dieting and having recurrent issues. So many programs, like I said, they only focus on the transformation, but what happens after? If you don't have a clear roadmap for long-term sustainability, you're going to fall back into old habits, and that leads to a lot of yo-yo dieting and these recurrent issues. So in our program, we're going to build in a robust maintenance plan from day one. We're teaching you how to listen to your body and how to make informed choices, and also how to adapt your strategies so that your results are not just temporarily, but they last a lifetime. This is about creating lasting health that works with your life and not feeling restricted, because we know life is going to life, right? So we need to know how to ebb and flow with the flows of life, not just having another quick fix. And this brings me to Jessica. So Jessica's story is particularly inspiring because she achieved these significant results while navigating a pretty demanding profession as a teacher. I think we can all say that undoubtedly being a teacher is pretty darn stressful. And she was able to get down 20 pounds in 16 weeks. So this demonstrates that a personalized approach can be integrated into even the busiest of lives. And it really proves that sustainable health is achieved without having to necessarily add more stress to your plate. All right. So how does all of this work? You've seen the pillars, you've heard the success stories. So let's really talk about the practical now if you're ready to take the next step. So it's a simple 3-step process. You'll book your strategy call, and you can use the QR code on the screen to do that, or my team will drop the link in the chat here for y'all. But this is your opportunity to really dive deeper with us. We're going to review your top symptoms. We're going to discuss your current goals and explore how our program can specifically help you. It is a no pressure conversation. It's just to see if it is a good fit. We are not a good fit to work with everybody, and we don't work with everybody. So we want to make sure that everyone feels like this is the right place for them to be, and we feel the same way about you. The second step is we put you through onboarding. In the first 30 days, we're going to hit the ground running. So we're going to get those targeted labs done. We're going to establish your baseline plan, and we're going to focus on early wins to build that momentum and that confidence. And then we're just going to be on a cadence and support you. So this is the ongoing support that makes sure that you continue to be successful. So we're going to do weekly feedback, micro tweaks to your plan based on your progress, and then regular milestone reviews to make sure you stay on track. This is the structured approach that makes sure that you feel supported every step of the way here. So what you might be thinking is, can't I just do this all myself, right? And while I commend your initiative, here's why expert guidance really does truly beat the DIY approach, especially when we're dealing with complex gut and hormonal health issues. So your signals are going to shift weekly. Your body is not static. So small changes in your gut hormone signals can alter things like your energy, your hunger, your sleep, and your mood on a week-to-week basis. And so without someone really expertly tracking these shifts, it's very easy to get off track. So implementation is really the gap here. So knowing what to do is one thing, consistently implementing it and adapting it is a whole nother beast. So we close this gap with things like precise testing, personalized coaching, and fast feedback. And this way, we're constantly optimizing your plan based on how your body is actually responding. So this level of personalized adaptive support is what makes the difference between the temporary fixes and things that last a lifetime, all right? So let's talk about Carly. So Carly's story is another powerful example of the physical transformations that are possible. So she got down 7 inches in her waist in just 8 weeks. And this really speaks to the effectiveness of what happens when you have a targeted approach that addresses root causes like stubborn fat and inflammation. It leads to measurable changes in your body composition. And Carly's success is really a testament to the power of consistent action guided by expert insights. And so really, I could talk all day about the incredible transformations that I've witnessed, but sometimes it's more impactful to hear it from people themselves, but we have quite a few powerful stories. So we have Brittany, who was finally able to get pregnant after struggling on her own, and she was actually starting to consider fertility treatment. That happened within the first month of us being able to work together. And we had Kishana, who was a nurse working night shifts. She was struggling so hard to prioritize herself and her stress load. We uncovered a major culprit for her of Hashimoto's disease. And I just heard the other day, this week, from her coach, Lindsay, that she's already down over 20 pounds now at this point since we started working together. She's finally out of the 400s into the 300s for the first time in, I can't even tell you how many years. And this is in less than 10 weeks of us working together. And then we have Catherine, who's a mom to a young son, also a nurse. And she finally was able to make herself a priority. She just hit 20 pounds down and she was able to fit back into her wedding dress, which is all the way back from COVID. She never got the chance to wear it, unfortunately, due to COVID, but she was finally able to fit back into it again after just 12 weeks, despite some very major personal life events. And then we have Michelle. So Michelle had tried everything. She failed so many times. I honestly didn't really believe that change was going to be possible for her anymore. Or really, I think she believed that more so than me. Michelle, she really struggled with emotional eating. And she found herself at a certain point over 300 pounds with a new diabetes diagnosis. And by the time she started working with us, she was very skeptical and she was very exhausted. All right. But our mindset first approach made her finally feel seen and safe. And we started slowly implementing things, hand weights while sitting on the couch. And in just 12 weeks, she dropped out of the 300s, a number she hadn't seen in years. She zipped up a raincoat she hadn't been able to wear in over 2 years. And she just finished her first 5K, y'all. But more than the scale, it's the way that she feels that's different. And she finally has hope again, and she finally trusts herself again. And that's the most important part of all of this. So let's really talk about the cost of something important, which is waiting, right? So if we wait, we potentially end up with another 6 months of guessing, of continuing to struggle alone. That means more fatigue, more stubborn weight gain, lower mood. These symptoms, they don't just disappear. They often compound and get worse over time. There's also the hidden costs of all the money we're spending on trying to fix it ourselves with random supplements, things that don't fit your physiology, the piling medical bills from chasing the symptoms, not to mention the emotional toll and the constant frustration that we all experience when we go through something like this. And each week without a clear plan is just another week of missed feedback is how I look at it. It's missed opportunities for healing, and it can really slow progress on plans that you can't sustain. Your health is honestly your most valuable asset. So I really want you to think about what is the cost of not investing in it now. So that does bring us to something that I want to talk about. So for those of you who are truly action takers, and this is the exciting part that I was telling you guys about, if you're ready and committed to your health, we have a very special time-sensitive opportunity. It is a live scholarship. So before I share the details, I want you to know why I'm doing this. I've invested really a tremendous amount at this point of time into my training because I want it to be genuinely helpful for others. And at this point, I looked the other day, over 340 hours of calls and consults with clients for these exact issues we've talked about today. It is very widespread. And I've invested the time, the money, and the effort because I know how important and life-changing this work can really be. And if you've done the same today by showing up and really investing in yourself all the way up to this point and you're still here, that shows me that you're truly ready to take action and feel differently. So I want to continue to give back and show how much I believe in you by giving away 12 months not 1, but 12 months of free coaching to 12 women who book a strategy call today with myself or my team. This is genuine value, y'all. This is not an inflated list price. It is our way of rewarding those who are decisive and ready to transform, just like you've shown by being here today. So the deadline is going to be 30 minutes from now. And if capacity fills before then, the link will close. So this is truly for those who are ready to jump in and take that next step. Okay. So let's talk about really quickly, once again, what happens in the strategy call. It's 60 minutes to just review your top symptoms and your current goals. We're going to deep dive in, give you some recommended next steps. Even if we determine it's not a perfect match for the one-on-one program, you're still going to gain immense clarity and walk away with some really actionable insights. Plus, you'll still have access to today's bonuses just for showing up, right? So this call is all about empowering you with information regardless of your decision. There's no pressure here, y'all. And I want you to know that if you're ready to take that next step and you're ready to gain clarity and explore how personalized support can really transform your health, then book your strategy call now. So the link to book is on the screen. You can scan the QR code. It's also in the chat. And this link will stay visible during the Q&A section that we're about to jump into. And if you guys can do me a favor, once you've secured your slot, please type booked in the chat so we can all celebrate your commitment to your health. Yes, that is important, and we should be celebrating it all day long. And remember, these scholarship spots are limited, and it is time sensitive, so don't delay here, y'all, okay? So that is going to bring us into what I want to talk about really quickly, which are 3 common worries that you're probably thinking about prior to booking this call. And so I just like to address these things head on. So you may be saying, I just need more time. We understand you're busy. Those are the women that we work with. That's why we build our program around your life with small weekly steps that are sustainable and don't overwhelm your schedule, because those things are not sustainable, right? And you may be saying, I've tried things before. I've tried this. I've tried that. So many of our clients have. Matter of fact, most of the women who come to me because they've tried everything else and everything else has failed. That's why we guess. We don't guess. I'm sorry. That's why we don't guess. We test first. And then we adjust weekly based on your unique progress, ensuring that you don't stall like you have before. You may also be asking, will this actually work for me, right? Our plans are personalized. They are not protocols. You will know your exact next step on the call, and this will be tailored specifically to your body and your goals. This is not a generic solution. It is your solution. I want to be really clear about that. So these worries, while valid, we have a very proven system to overcome them at this point. So it is time for our live Q&A. This is your opportunity to ask any questions that came up during the masterclass while we all continue to take advantage of the scholarship and get those calls booked. So please drop your questions in the chat now if you haven't already. I am going to answer as many as I can. And remember, the link to book the strategy call is in the chat as well as on the screen. So don't miss out on those scholarship spots. And after this, we're announcing the giveaway winner, who's getting 16 weeks of free coaching. So super excited. All right, let's take a look here. I'm going to go back through the chat and see what we've got. Any questions? If you got any more, make sure you start dropping them in. Oh, Ashley, thank you for that feedback. That's so awesome. And it looks like a lot of you, just like yesterday, we want the supplements. Yes, I'm glad that you care about what you're putting in your body. Okay, let's see what we got here. Why is detox last, not first? Is this the order we should practice in? So yes, so we operate from a priority of dysfunction. So when we are looking at the pyramid of dysfunction, right? So at the foundation, we have things like your nervous system regulation, your sleep optimization. These are foundational. Lack of stomach acid because we need to absorb nutrients, and then starting to address things like nutritional deficiencies. On the next level up, we start talking about things like your liver drainage, your lymphatic system, making sure that that's operating properly. The reason that detox is last is that's one of the reasons. This foundation has to be solid before you can detox something from your body properly and not have a recurrence necessarily. And then above that, we start going into things like your thyroid. We can't start addressing things like your thyroid until we've done things like addressing your gut. So that's down lower. We do gut repair first. Then on top of the thyroid are your sex hormones. So estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, all of those things. We have to address these foundational issues before we can even get to the point of that. And a lot of times it's these foundational issues that are actually causing an issue up top. And then at the tippy top is detox. It is last. So we want to have a solid foundation in our body to be able to then be able to accomplish detox in an effective way where our liver's working properly. We can clear it from the system properly. We have the ability to absorb the nutrients to make our system work properly to do the detox processes. Our thyroid is working properly to help with metabolizing things out of our system. And then our sex hormones are supporting that process, not harming it. So that's why that really comes in last, because we want our body to be in a really solid place for that. And then let's see what else we got. Hopefully that answered your question, Shawnee. What if you've done a strategy call already? So you can still qualify for the scholarship. So if you still book during this time, then you will still qualify. So we can get back on a call together. That's totally fine. And we'd love to hear where you're at and what progress you've made, and you can still take advantage of that. Does your system intesting help with chronic diarrhea? Absolutely. So the question is, what is the cause of the chronic diarrhea? We want to really establish the root cause of the issue and where that's coming from. And so what are we dealing with in the gut that's really causing that issue? And so is it specific bacteria? Is it gut dysbiosis? Is it small intestinal bacterial overgrowth? Is it leaky gut? All of these different things that we need to make sure that we're ruling out or addressing, and then healing your gut lining and repairing that, so then that we don't have these recurrent issues. So yes, chronic diarrhea is definitely something that we can help address. What else do we got, y'all? What questions do we have in the chat here before we head to the giveaway? All right, awesome. We got some people getting booked, taking advantage of the scholarships. I'm super excited for y'all. Can't wait for y'all to hop on a call with the team, and let's see how we can help you guys. What other questions do we have, y'all? You gotta have more. I think there's so much to talk about here. Don't make me keep talking. I want to answer your questions. Anything else, y'all? What you got? What you got? It doesn't, no question is stupid here. So anything, even if it seems simple, I'm happy to answer it. If you need specific recommendations for certain things, I'm happy to try to point you in the right direction. Can you talk about the different symptoms from the apple cider vinegar test? Absolutely. So going back to that, so the apple cider vinegar test is where we put the apple cider vinegar in some water, and then we take a look to see what kind of symptoms you're having. So if you're not having symptoms, that indicates that the apple cider vinegar is not interacting with basically enough or too much stomach acid there. So that's why then you can use apple cider vinegar as a support dietary wise to help stimulate and increase your stomach acid. And you're going to do that before meals, and it's going to help you digest your food better and also absorb the nutrients better from your food. And then if you're having things like nausea, burning, bloating after taking it, that indicates that you have some gut mucosal lining damage. Okay. So that's when you're going to want to do something that's a gut healing protocol. So GI Revive, Healthy Gut, Enteromend, those are all good supplements. Aloe, marshmallow root, colostrum, all of those things are going to help start to mend the lining of your gut. And then if you're having things like itchiness or, a sensation of, hot sensation. That's what I was trying to think of the word. So itchy or hot sensation, then that indicates a histamine reaction. So that means that you want to support your stomach acid still, but you want to follow a low histamine diet and you want to reduce inflammation. Okay. So we got to figure out where the inflammation is coming from. It can be from just environmental stressors, but it can also be from other things like maybe what you're putting in your mouth. Maybe it's processed foods. Maybe it's the fact that we have leaky gut. Maybe it's something else that's causing our body to be inflamed, but we just need to get to the root of that and address it. So hopefully that answers your question, Alicia or Alicia. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. Any other questions? All right, we're almost through with our spots, it's looking like. Can you talk about how soon results can start to be seen and felt? So you're going to hate this answer, but it depends. Because every body is different, and like literally every body is different, right? So it depends on the severity of what we're dealing with. And so some people feel tangible changes just within the first week. Some people, it takes a little bit longer. We're talking about a month to a month and a half to start to feel some tangible changes. but we have to stay the course, right? So sometimes we have to go through a process of healing, and that healing process may not be the most fun process. I'm going to be honest and transparent about that for some people when we're dealing with gut issues. And then on the other side of that, though, is everything is so much better. Your skin is brighter. Everything's starting to improve because your body is starting to really start to operate in a very functionally optimal way. And you feel like your body's doing what it's supposed to do again. So hopefully that answers your question. No, it's not exact, but most people will feel tangible changes within at least the first month, I would say on average. How much apple cider vinegar? Also 30 different foods. What was your question about the 30 different foods? So in terms of apple cider vinegar, it's 1 to 2 tablespoons in at least 8 ounces of water before meals. And so that is what I would recommend. And you can start, you don't have to do 3 times a day to start. You can start with just once a day. You can work your way up 2 times a day, then 3 times. And then you can kind of take it from there. Also 30 different vegetables. What type? Basically you're just trying to increase the diversity of your gut microbiome. So it matters less about the type as long as they are whole foods. So we're talking non-processed foods. So some of the ones that I mentioned are going to be things like cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. You can also do things with resistant starch that also have fiber, like we talked about. So those things would count. What else? Inulins we talked about, which are like artichokes and garlic. And then also fructans is another one. So you can get that. Pectin is another one that's like in apples, different fruits. Beta glucan, which is in oats. Polyphenols is another one, which is in a bunch of different plant-based foods like pomegranate, green tea, cranberries. Anything that's going to be pretty much kind of like plant-based is what you're looking at. Now, polyphenol-rich foods are really great to start with, especially if you're coming off of something like a restrictive diet, because they start to strengthen your gut lining right away. So a lot of times when we come off of like restrictive diets, or people have been on AIP or something super restrictive for a long time, we start with polyphenol-rich foods. And those things are going to help to strengthen the gut lining first before we start reintroducing more and more things. So hopefully that answers your question. Are there any financing options? Absolutely. So we have plenty of options to really try to help as many women as possible access this, because I think it's just really that important. Like, our health is our wealth, right? So we have lots of options to spread your payments out over time, to finance it, to do really, we like to work with you to figure out what is the option that we can do if this is something you truly desire to get you moving in the right direction. So we have lots of different options, and we can talk about that with you on your strategy call. So absolutely. What if you are vegan? So totally fine if you are vegan. It just means that we may have to do a little more supplementation, because it's so much harder to get a lot of those things in, especially some of the things that we need for healing. When we're talking about, protein, B vitamins, you're also, what am I blanking on? Things like zinc, magnesium. It's just hard to get as many of those nutrients in when you're vegan, and that's totally fine, but we can supplement the things that we're not able to get. But we do always try to get as much as we can from food and nutrition first before we just start throwing a barrage of supplements at people. So our goal is not to give you a list of 20 supplements to take, like a lot of people out there. We want to treat with food. Food is our medicine, but we also have to remember that one woman's food can be another woman's poison, which is, again, underscoring the importance of a personalized, customized plan. Does gut microbiome affect your hair health? Oh, great question. Absolutely. Because your hair is part of like your skin microbiome. So people don't realize your gut can affect so many other areas. So if you have skin issues, acne, eczema, a lot of that can be coming from your gut, because it's your inside reflecting externally, internal coming external, right? So the microbiomes are all very interconnected, and that includes your vaginal microbiome too. So if you have recurrent episodes of BV, if you have recurrent UTIs, if you are having issues with your vaginal microbiome or your urinary health, those can be linked back to your gut too. We've seen that actually quite often. So yes, it can definitely be affecting things like that. But then it can also be affecting things like your thyroid, which will affect your hair and cause you to have hair thinning and things of that nature. So we have to really look to figure out how all of those things are interconnected. Absolutely. That's a great question. What else do we have? Alicia. Okay, I got it. Yeah, I got it the second time around. Sorry, I did it wrong the first. All right, awesome. All right. Any last questions before we move on to the live giveaway? We still have to do that. Yes. How are we feeling? Any questions? Any last questions? I'll give you 5 seconds left to type it in before we move on. All right, we're going to move on to our live giveaway here. Okay, so our giveaway winner is going to win our full functional fat loss RX program. So that's 16 weeks of one-on-one coaching. We're covering all of your coaching for you. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful thing. And so I'm really excited. If you are excited and you want to be the winner, I need you to drop a 1 in the chat. Who wants to win? All right, yes. Okay, maybe it's delayed on my end, but it doesn't seem like anybody wants to win today. Okay, Alicia, I see you. Patricia, Shan, Tiffany, Shannon, Kanza. Can you post the one? I'm not sure what that question was. If Shawnee, if you can rewrite that. All right. Okay. Got it. Okay. All right. Now we've got some excitement. I was like, nobody wants to win. Nobody wants anything free today. Like, I can surely just take it away. But, you know, that wouldn't be right of me. So what we're going to do is I am going to write all of your beautiful names down. We're going to do this really old school style. So if you typed a 1 in the chat, that is a wonderful thing for you, because that means that you're entered to win, and because you're still here and you showed me that you're still active and alive and present. So give me 1 second. All right. So we've got, oh, your phone glitched. Got it. Okay. So we've got Alicia. We've got Patricia. We've got Shan, Tiffany, Shannon. By the way, this is your last opportunity to get a 1 in the chat if you haven't already. Hansa, Charlie, Lean. We got another Tiffany, spelled slightly differently. We got Shan, we got Kay, and Shannon. Okay, so we're going to do this, like I said, really old school style. We're not using a lot of technology around here for this moment. I'm going to close my eyes, and I have all of your names on this list, and I'm just going to point, and I'm going to tell you what name it is. All right? Are we ready? Drum roll. All right. 1, 2, 3. All right. Let's see who we got. It looks like Shan is the winner. Shan. Let's give it up for Shan. She has won 16 weeks of one-on-one coaching in the program. So super excited to see you have this transformation, y'all. So excited. Let me drop your bonus for being here all the way till the end as well, because you guys deserve it. And if you booked your call already, don't forget, I got your pre-call prep sheet in there. So that is your chance to prepare. Make sure you ask all of your questions. And then you've got your freebies. So these aren't going out until after tonight, probably not till tomorrow. And you guys will be getting access to the replay for a limited period of time. So if you need to go back and rewatch anything, that is the exciting news for you all who showed up. And you're going to get access to these freebies. But because you guys are here till the end, I wanted to make sure I gave you access pretty much right away. So I am really excited, and thank you all for attending. Remember, if you've not booked the access to the scholarship, sorry, these slides are from yesterday, y'all, but it will remain open for the next, let's say, 20 minutes or until we fill up, and then we will end the webinar. So thank you all for attending today. If anyone would like to still book a strategy call, the QR code is on the screen, or you can click the link in the chat as well. And be sure to let us know if you have any questions. I'm going to hang around in the chat if any other questions pop up, I'm happy to answer. And thank you all for being here tonight. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. And I'm excited to see you all on the calls.